All right. Well, it's 10 o'clock. Our timer wasn't working there, but we'll go ahead and get started here. My name's Aaron Morris. I'm a sales engineer with Long Building Technologies, and thank everybody for joining us this morning. Welcome to today's coffee break. Today, my co-host is Ray Schmidt. Ray is Halton's regional sales engineer, and today we'll be taking a look at managing restaurant exhausts using Halton's pollution control unit. Ray, why don't you go ahead and get us started? Oh, Ray, you're muted.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for letting me spend a little time this morning and spill some coffee with you. So pollution control units were first introduced over 40 years ago as a result of the EPA placing restrictions on industrial manufacturing facilities. Years later, restrictions were also placed on restaurant operations, but the same technology that was used for industrial pollution and emissions control was, for whatever reason, applied to restaurants. The question is, why was there limited success? So limited success was because the industrial and restaurant emissions have very different profiles. Restaurant emissions contain grease particulate, grease vapor, and water vapor. Furthermore, the emissions profile from one restaurant to the next is very different because there's different menu items and different methods of cooking those menu items. So Halton has taken an approach to reduce restaurant emission profiles in the form of our modular Pollu pollution control unit. In addition to the exhaust fan and possible sound attenuation modules, the Pollu unit will include restaurant-specific grease removal, smoke removal, and odor mitigation modules. Through extensive in-house research and additional restaurant industry third-party data profiles for restaurant emissions, we were able to create a software program. With the data and additional knowledge of the commercial kitchen appliances and how they are used, we were actually able to develop a specific restaurant emissions program for the Pollu unit. So now that we understand that industrial and restaurant emissions are significantly different, let's take a look at the actual Halton Pollu pollution control unit software. So the software operator will require a completed Pollu questionnaire, which we would send to the your local Long sales engineer or to your office for completion. And once we receive that questionnaire, we'll go ahead and start operating the software program. So similar to typical exhaust fan selection programs, we would obviously require the exhaust fan volume, static pressure, elevation, and required motor voltage and phase. But unique to the software is that the operator will also input the types of cooking appliances that will be located underneath the hood, building owner desired levels of odor mitigation, cook line duty rating of the appliances, whether they're light, medium, heavy duty, or extra heavy duty appliances, and then also identify whether or not smoke removal is required and or sound attenuation. So the program will generate preliminary dimensional drawings with the fan and motor data, fan curve, electrical and plumbing drawings, mounting details, depending on whether it's a base or suspended unit, written specifications, and water consumption rates when the automatic electrostatic precipitator Pollu is required. Selecting the appropriate grease removal module based on anticipated emissions level is absolutely critical. If the grease module selection is not capable of handling the anticipated level of grease particulate and vapor emissions, then the performance of the downstream HEPA smoke filters and or carbon odor panels will be significantly reduced. Furthermore, the incorrect selection will result in greater and unnecessary maintenance and labor costs. So depending upon the grease emissions profile, the software program will choose between a two-stage dry filter grease module or an electrostatic precipitator with nightly automatic washdown. The Pollu Extended Life Filter, or ELF as we call it, grease module is a two-stage dry filter module that includes a pre-filter and a patented bag filter. The first stage includes a MERV 8 pre-filter, while the second stage is a MERV 14 ELF bag filter as rated per ASHRAE 52.2 standards. Now the ELF filter is quite different than traditional bag filters, and the ELF filter has the same loading capacity as 8 pre-filters with a MERV 8 rating and 1.5 standard bag filters with a MERV 14 rating. In summary, the two-stage ELF filter reduces replacement labor costs by 8 times, minimizes the landfill imprint, and saves energy due to the overall lower static pressure drop. The Pollu electrostatic precipitator module is selected when the grease particulate and grease vapor emissions profile would exceed a reasonable performance load profile for that of the two-stage ELF module. An overnight automatic washdown system cleans the ESP cells in interior grease cabinet every 24 hours and or as programmed per the operator's request. The unit does include a clean sensor to let the operator know that the system has in fact been cleaned. Occasionally, a double pass ESP module is necessary, such as in the case when we have the hood located over large gas charbroilers, maybe a Chinese walk range, and also solid fuel broilers. Now, Halton can provide an ROI that compares the two units, the dry filter and the ESP unit, under similar restaurant-specific emissions conditions. So let's talk about smoke, and here are some selection-generated illustrations of the two-stage ELF and the ESP module configurations. And then when we talk about smoke, smoke removal is achieved by using a 99.7% efficient high-capacity mini-pleated V-bank style HEPA filter that has a MERV 16th rating. And the filter is only incorporated into the Pollu grease module when smoke mitigation is required. So odor levels and acceptability are subjected to individual interpretation, right? So what may be offensive to some may not be offensive to others. Commercial kitchen generated odors often result in complaints from closely located high-rise residential complexes, office buildings, and residential neighborhoods. Effective odor mitigation should be a primary discussion point with the client so that expectations are understood. Cooking odors can be pungent and powerful, especially when strong spices are used, and the level of expected odor mitigation must be discussed, as I said prior, with the owner prior to the selection process. So Halton offers a wide range of odor mitigation technologies, starting with a simple odor spray masking agent all the way up to and including our double pass UVC modules with coconut carbon shell absorption media. The UVC system will provide for some level of altering the VOC emissions, further minimizing cooking odors and beyond what carbon alone can achieve. Patented odor sensing technology identifies odor concentration levels entering and leaving the carbon panels. So we know that when the odor concentration level has a similar profile, we know that it's time for those panels to be changed out. Take a look at a few different Pollu odor mitigation module selections. And then the Pollu is typically viewed as the last and most important step in the process of reducing restaurant emissions. However, there are several solutions that can be applied upstream at the hood, which are of equal importance and also effective at reducing the overall final emissions profile at the discharge end of the pollution control unit. So if we go with listed low volume exhaust hoods that are tested to ASTM 1704, we will minimize the constant volume exhaust volume throughout the day. We use high efficient mechanical filtrations as per ASTM 2519 tests to make sure that we collect as much of the larger grease particulate at the hood level and it doesn't impinge upon the filtration or modules, media or the ESP cells as much. We can also incorporate UVC technology into the exhaust hood which will further reduce the level of grease and odor emissions. And then we can provide a water wash auto cleaning hood that will wash down the exhaust plenum and the grease filters on a daily basis as well. That will prevent for the reintroduction of grease vapor and odor the following day when that grease becomes soft once again from the cooking process. And then when it comes to selecting a polystop for solid fuel applications, Halton offers the following best practices solution, and that is a water wash hood with continuous cold water mist and that double pass ESP unit with pass carbon. And the water wash system will provide for daily cleaning of the exhaust hood extraction plenum and filters, thus removing daily soot, grease, and or carbon. And then the cold water mist system provides for an added level of protection in case any hot embers are going to manage to bypass the integral spark arrestor. And our standard fan configuration includes a double wide double inlet blower. We do offer inline and upblast side discharge fans, and the selection range is anywhere between 3,000 and 40,000 CFM. When sound attenuation is required, we can also select either a 40-inch or a 80-inch attenuator or silencer. And the polystop does carry multiple listings. The most important one is the UL 8782, which not all pollution control manufacturers offer at this point in time. And that's specific to PCUs that serve commercial kitchen exhaust applications. So in summary, commercial kitchen emissions are unique, so let's keep that in mind. We can't always just go to the plug and play 3-stage dry filter unit. We have to have a collaborative discussion with the owner to make sure that we clearly understand what their emission expectations are. And also we have to make sure that we understand that getting the right emissions unit selection may impact the overall, or will impact the overall size and cost of the unit. Let's avoid painting ourselves in the corner when possible. And what I mean by that is that the physical size of the pollution control unit gets larger when we add more mitigation components or modules to the equation. So let's try not to specify a small unit just because it's a small unit. Let's focus on specifying the correct unit for the emissions levels that are going to be generated.
Thank you, Ray. That was a lot of information. We have a couple questions that came in, and I'll write those down, and we'll try to get back to you on those offline. And then I do want to, kind of take away from that that I have is that it's a modular system that can be customized for, the correct application. So just want to keep that in mind, and then mention that Halton can also help with the hoods, the demand control ventilation systems, and they do have a full suite of kitchen equipment products. With that, thank you everybody for joining us, and have a good day.